We are moving to the central input. And let me introduce you to Alexandra Wandel. Hello, Alexandra.
Hello. Good morning.
Alexandra Wandel serves as Executive Director of the World Future Council. She's in charge of external and council liaison programs, as well as the Future Policy Award in partnership with several United Nations agencies. She also chairs the management board of the World Future Council, so the kind of women that we'd like to see. And Alexandra has long experience in the international cooperation arena. Among many others, she coordinated European NGO activities at the ministerial conferences of the World Trade Organization in Seattle, Doha, Cancun, and Hong Kong, and also at the United Nations World Summit on Sustainable Development in Johannesburg. Alexandra studied political science and public law at the Free University in Berlin and holds a Master of Arts in International Relations with honors from the University of Amsterdam. Alexandra, it's a great pleasure to have you here, and we're looking forward to hear the information and your explanations about the Future Policy Award. The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you so much for this kind introduction. It's my honor and my pleasure to speak with you today about the World Future Council and specifically also about the Future Policy Award. So we have already heard from Flavio, who kindly introduced also World Future Council, that we are a global organization that is working to actually achieve a healthy, sustainable planet with just and peaceful societies. And we really do this by identifying, highlighting, and then spreading also future just policy solutions. We do have a council that is consisting of 50 eminent global change makers, and they come from all walks of life. So they do come from governments, from parliaments, from civil society, academia, and the arts, but also from business. And they're representing us at the international level. And we are a foundation. You see here some well-known personalities from our council. Jakob van Uxkel is the founder of World Future Council, who also created the Alternative Nobel Award. And Professor Dr. Michael Otto is co-founder and honorary counselor with World Future Council. You also see here, for instance, Dr. Uma Obama, who is chairing the Uma Obama Foundation from Kenya, or Dr. Maria Espinosa, who's the president of the 73rd session of the UN General Assembly, Jane Goodall, whom you might know as primatologist and UN Messenger of Peace, or the scientist Professor Dr. Ernst Ulrich von Weizsäcker, who is also honorary president of the Club of Rome. So we are really working globally. We do have over 70 volunteers all over the world on all continents. Our counselors are represented in more than 30 countries. We do have joint projects with UN agencies, also the Interparliamentary Union. We have additional offices around the world. And we also have co-founded the F20 network. This brings together a network of more than 60 foundation and philanthropic organizations from different parts of the world who are working towards implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals, towards transnational action for more peace and leaving no one behind. We have consultative status with the ECOSOC of the UN, and we organize award ceremonies at UN headquarters or Conference of the Parties of the UN, or also assemblies of the Interparliamentary Union. We also organize workshops with representatives from around the world, with parliamentarians, representatives of ministries, civil society, and scientists. And you are also invited to follow our activities through our publications, our social media activities. The working areas we currently have at the World Future Council, which our council determines, is the rights of children and youth, climate and energy, food, land and livelihoods, and peace and disarmament. And we have set up in 2009 already the Future Policy Award. This is the first award at the international level that is honoring innovative and impactful policies. And the Council is choosing every year a policy area where innovative solutions are of particular importance And with this award, we really would like to encourage policymakers to be inspired by the policies we award, and then also to see in how far they can adapt or implement some of these policy solutions that we award. You see here a picture from an award ceremony which we held at the United Nations Conference on Combating Desertification in China. The Future Policy Award in 2009. So last year we had the topic of celebrating the world's most impactful policies to empower youth, also to create green jobs and decent jobs. And in 2018, we honored the world's best policy solutions for scaling up agroecology. Among the winning policies, we also had some policies from Latin America. I mentioned here that actually the participatory urban agriculture program of the city of Ecuador received the Silver Award. We also had a Silver Award given to the Brazilian National Policy for Agroecology and Organic Production. And also beforehand, we already had given one award to Costa Rica's biodiversity law. Previously, you can see that we already had a number of other topics we awarded policies on. We partnered with 12 UN agencies so far, and the topics were also on combating desertification, the world's best policies on biodiversity, the policies on forests, on oceans, for food security, for disarmament, the rights of children, and also on ending violence against women and girls. So now let me get to the issue of protection from hazardous chemicals. An issue that our council has decided that is so urgent that we should dedicate now the award to the innovative policies in this field. You see that we have already now won a number of really outstanding partners for this award. They're very happy that we don't only have UN Environment Program and the strategic approach to international chemicals management as partner, but also we have the International Labour Organization, UN Development Program, the UN Institute for Training and Research, the OECD, the Federal Environmental Agency of Germany, and the Federal Ministry for the Environment, Nature Conservation, and Nuclear Safety as a partner. So why is this topic important, and why also our council decided that we should have now the award dedicated to the protection from hazardous chemicals? Because we do know that we have around 40,000 to 60,000 chemicals. They are part of our daily life. Many of them can actually cause irreversible harm for the environment and the health of humans. We know that specifically also children globally actually often are born already pre-polluted when they're born with numerous contaminants. We also see, according to the Global Chemical Outlook, we see a number of traumatic deaths and illnesses from hazardous chemicals. We have air, water, and soil pollution and contamination, and we see now it's even more urgent to have good policies and regulations, because there is the scenario that the current chemical production capacity of 2.3 billion tons is actually projected to double by 2030. And therefore, it's very important to highlight innovative and impactful policies that can protect also people and the environment from hazardous chemicals. So what is actually now happening with the Future Policy Award? We do have different steps. The first step is that we issued a call for nominations with our partners, which we have sent to experts around the world, to international organizations, to academia, to non-governmental organizations, to parliamentarians. And we're very happy if you can have a look into the call for nominations. We are now receiving nominations by the end of August for policies on the protection from hazardous chemicals. The second step is that actually we will have a selection by an international jury with representatives of experts on this topic, but also ensuring that we have a good global representation among the jury members from all different parts of the world. And the third step is that we will recognize and we also will actually celebrate the winners, so the winning policies. And you see here a picture from our award ceremony, which we held during World Food Week at the Food and Agriculture Organization, which was a very nice event. So now getting back to the call for nomination. So generally speaking, what are we actually looking for? We are really looking for policies, laws, legal frameworks that protect people and the environment from hazardous chemicals. That's the very broad framework. Now, we have decided with our partners, because this is a very broad field, that we would like to receive nominations on a number of specific areas. And I now would like to go through them one by one. So the first area is protection from chemicals across their life cycle. What does it actually mean? This means that across the life cycle, that the treatment of chemicals, starting at the very beginning with purchasing and receiving chemicals until the disposal. So it also includes, for example, the storage and the application. So we're really looking forward to receiving more nominations from you about policies that really protect from chemicals across the whole life cycle, protecting for the environment and human health. The second category we have decided to include is the issue of chemicals in plastic. You know that in order to soften plastic or to color or make it less flammable, a large number of chemicals are used in the production, like bisphenol and pollutants. So we are also seeking outstanding policies that prevent from hazardous chemicals in plastics. But it could also be regulations or policies that are regulating plastics in general. So this is also an important topic in relation to toys. Now we come to the third issue. We are looking for nominations, an issue that was already mentioned also by Flavio, the challenge that we have with highly hazardous pesticides that have the potential to be toxic by their nature. Consequently, there is an urgent need to use them safely and properly. So we are seeking policies that, for example, prevent the use of pesticides in general, or that could make their use safer for the environment and human health, including also for the health of children. Then we come to the next topic, which is lead in paint. This is actually contained in lead. Lead is added to paint to, for example, accelerate dyeing, increase durability, or maintain a fresh appearance. However, lead is toxic and hazardous. It can actually cause nervous system damage, stunted growth, also for children, or delayed development. It can also cause reproductive problems in both men and women, and so that is why we are very eager to receive nominations also for good policies for dealing with lead in paint. Then we come to the next category. It is policies that tackle child labor, dealing with hazardous chemicals. Chemicals are used in many work area activities. Many new chemicals are introduced in the market each year, and therefore safety in the use of chemicals at work is a very important topic. We are looking for policies which make work safer. And then finally, we get back to the issue of environmentally persistent pharmaceutical pollutants. Some pharmaceuticals degrade very slowly since they are formulated to resist gastric acid. When entering the environment, they can become environmentally persistent pharmaceutical pollutants, and due to the exposure to EPPs, pathogenic bacteria, they may become more resistant to medication, which is a threat to human health. Therefore, we are seeking also policies that contain the entry of EPPs into nature. So what are we looking for exactly? The policies, the laws, and the legal frameworks, they could be a national policy, it could be a subnational one, it could be regional, it could be even local. But important is that we're looking for policies or legal frameworks that are at least enforced for 2 years, because we need to have data about the effective implementation and the impact, and they need to deliver identifiable improvements. We also look for policies that are really replicable under similar circumstances, because of the aim of the award is that we want to replicate these policies in other countries and other regions. So therefore, they should also be replicable and transferable. And we also look into the 7 future just principles when we do the evaluation. These principles actually have been adopted already at the 2002 International Law Association. It comes from the Daily Declaration on Sustainable Development Law, and they have then been adopted at the Johannesburg Summit in 2002. So we conduct interviews for the nominated policies with representatives from governments, science, and non-governmental organizations, and we check whether these 7 principles are met. And once the evaluation has been concluded, looking into the impact of the policy, looking into the transferability into the policy, whether they meet all the future just policy lawmaking, we submit it to a jury that takes into account which one are the best ones to deserve the award. So, who can nominate and how? Anyone can nominate up to 3 policies. The nomination form is available on our website. We have available versions in Spanish, in English, and French. Not all sections need to be filled, and the deadline is the 31st of August. So that is why we're very happy to present to you today the Future Policy Award. And again, here our website, we would be very happy to receive more nominations. And then the award ceremony shall be held next year at the United Nations, when there will be the ICCM conference with participation from our UN partners and with guests from around the world. So thank you so much for your attention, and I look forward to your comments and to your questions.
Thanks a lot, Alexandra. Thank you for this excellent presentation and for explaining us, giving us information about the Future Policy Award. We have now time to discuss and answer questions. I don't see any questions at the moment in the chat. So I really welcome all participants to use this opportunity. I know because we know many of you that you have questions, so be brave and post your questions and start discussion with Alexandra. This is an opportunity that you don't have every day. But I can tell you that perhaps we don't have questions until now, because we were also receiving questions while we were sending invitations to participate. We have collected some of these questions, and they're around certain topics, and I would like to read them. Most of the questions, of course, are addressed to you, Alexandra, around the Future Policy Award. And let me start with some questions that go around who and what can be nominated for the award. The first one that I have here is a question from an organization in Chile, and it's very interesting. They ask if it's possible to nominate initiatives from non-for-profit organizations or from industrial associations that are actually not policies or laws in itself. There are many organizations that are active and start exercises that can also lead to frameworks that protect from hazardous chemicals, or if this is only aiming nominations at laws, policies, and frameworks that include regulatory content. So that will be the first question to discuss with you.
Thank you very much for your question. So first of all, who and what can be nominated? I think I have already explained that the call for nomination is open. So if you are working for an academic institution or an international organization, or if you're representing a civil society organization or business, you're very welcome to make a nomination. And in relation to what can be nominated, I think I have made it very clear that the policy should be in place already for 2 years to check the implementation. And we are really looking for policies or legal frameworks in the fields that I explained. And so therefore, I'm getting back to the question. I understand that there are many business and civil society organizations that are also working towards having a sustainable chemistry for sustainable development. The Future Policy Award is very much now focusing on policies and regulatory frameworks. So this is really the framework. We might do another award for some best practices, but this is really an award for best policy. So therefore, the invitation to nominate policies, laws, regulatory frameworks.
Okay, thank you. Maybe we just stay here in this cluster, discussing who and what can be nominated. One further interesting question is that since policies are designed with participation of several stakeholders, normally inside law processes in one country, region, and municipality. Who should nominating agencies or persons suggest in the application as a contact person, and who is the author, let's say, of this policy? And in consequence, of course, who will receive the award and go to the ICCM conference that you were mentioning before?
Yes, exactly. So who should actually be listed as a contact? Well, first of all, of course, we need the contact details of the person who is nominating. So this is the contact person of the expert wanting to nominate a policy. But then we are inviting, in the call for nomination, we are inviting to list actually experts that we can interview. So we are asking for contact who could be the person in the government who's in charge of the policy, because we want to know from the government exactly how the policy works, what the methodology is, how it is implemented. So we do need a government official who is in charge of the policy. And then we also would like to have a contact for a scientist who has reviewed the policy or worked on the policy. And we also would like to have a contact for a civil society representative, because in order to check what actually civil society thinks about the policy, in order to get a really good 360-degree perspective also about the implementation, possible, criticism. And so that's why we always interview government, scientists, and civil society. Now, who will receive the award? Usually the award is really given to the policy. It's not given to a country, it's really to the policy, but who is then actually on stage to receive the award? Because we organize a nice award ceremony where we hand over a trophy and we have a celebration and also congratulatory speeches. So we then actually try to find out, where does the policy come from? I mean, where is it from? I can give you an example. We have, with the Food and Agriculture Organization, we have awarded a policy. It's the so-called State Policy on Organic Farming, and the Sikkim Organic Mission is the first state in the world, in India, that is entirely organic. And so we invited the Chief Minister, so the head of the state, to come, and he came with a delegation, and he received the award. But to give you another example, we had, for instance, also the case that we had, I mentioned that the Participatory Urban Agriculture Program of Quito received the award. And then they actually decided not to send the mayor of Quito, but they decided to send the woman who actually has managed this whole program, who did all the work. And so it was a great pleasure to welcome her during the award ceremony. So this is usually decided together with the government which has developed the policy. We are then trying to find the best person. Of course, we're always eager to have very high level representation, but of course it's also important to recognize who has been behind driving the development of the policy, who has really helped that this policy has also been shaped and adopted and that it exists. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And one last question I have here around the topic who and what can be nominated is you have explained criteria to access or to nominate a policy. But is it valid to propose a law, a framework, a policy that has recently come into effect and therefore does not have any impact assessment yet, though recognized by the community as an effective or very positive change towards protection from chemical
I think you can nominate the policy if it's very innovative and if it has recently been adopted. You can nominate it. The chances that it will win is very, very low, but it's still good if you nominate it, because we might actually, review it in 2 years' time, and then we can also highlight it. I want to give you an example. We have the topic of biodiversity. And in the year when we had the call for nominations, we received 2 nominations of outstanding innovative policies from Japan and from Norway, but they were too recent to receive the award. But we still had the Norwegians and the Japanese present at the award ceremony, and we then have been in touch with them. And after 2 or 3 years, we checked again with them, and we've been able to highlight their policies because they've been developing so well that we were still able to include them when we presented a handbook on exemplary policies. So therefore, I would like to encourage you, if there's a policy where you think, well, this is really the best policy on lead and paint or, regulating pesticides, please do nominate it, keeping in mind that we need data about the implementation, but it will be still helpful to have that nominations, because we might, get back to that policy in 2 or 3 years, because we want to, of course, continue that work. The award ceremony is one important aspect of the award, but the aim, of course, is to afterwards work also with policymakers to make the awardees more known, to work in order to spread knowledge about best practices and policies. So the process will continue even after the award ceremony is over.
For sure. Okay, thank you, Alexandra.